Doors open.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in again to another episode of Riding with Brendan. Today I'm at Arsenal Harley Davidson in Waterford, Michigan at the Riding Academy, and I'm with the Riding Academy instructor. Her name is Jay Motorcycle. It's almost like your parents knew what you were going to do for a living.
That's right, yep.
So,
yep.
But your real name is Jordan, right?
Yep, that's
okay,
right.
So,
yep.
Jordan.
Yep, J Money.
J Money.
Jordan.
Yep. Yeah, right on.
Yep.
So, I like to start with usually how did you get into motorcycle? We talked a little bit about it, but they don't know yet.
Yeah, sure. So, grew up my whole life around engines, snowmobiles, dirt bikes, everything. My dad made sure we started with motor inclination from a young age, and so as I got older, looking for a different hobby, road bikes just kind of was something that I hadn't scratched the surface with yet, and so signed up for the class. This is 2019. Signed up for the class, and the rest is really history from there. I mean, I just kind of soaking it up like a sponge now.
Snowballed into where you are now. So, I guess what do you have in your stable at home right now? What's your bikes?
I've got two road bikes right now. I've got a 2020 Road Glide Special named Big Baby, and that's my daily rider. And then I've got a 2009 Road King Police, which is a decommissioned Bloomfield Hills police bike that I use for practice. I love to do cones, SIA cones, limited space maneuvers, slow stuff, and that's where I really kind of like practice the craft, so I don't do it on the Road Glide.
Not as worried about dumping that, eh?
That bike's name is Tip Over. So that bike is horizontal more than it's vertical. And so that's where I really can push myself and work on, the slow stuff, because that's where you take a good rider. Anybody can get on a bike and go straight and fast.
Yeah.
But when you can control your motorcycle, put it where you want, and have control of that bike all the time, that really just elevates you as a rider. So I got to be, if I'm going to instruct, I need to be good at it, right?
Sure.
So, And I really took a liking to it. Like, I love to go fast. I love everything that riding motorcycles does to you, but the slow stuff, the slow and the controlled is really it's where the skill is, and so I love to play in that realm.
It's funny because we're a week out of Bikes on the Bricks with the police skills competition, and watching that,
love that.
That was this guy's got some sick skills, man, for sure. So how did you evolve from just a rider to an instructor? I mean, what?
So I think it started from who I was instructed by, right? So Rad and Johnny Love, who are kind of one of the longest tenured riding academy coaches still in the game. So I was taught by the best. I then learned from them. They kind of introduced me into a lot of the motorcycle world and community, and learned my etiquette along the way. And from 2019 to now, I could name probably on two hands, just bad motorcycle crashes that have happened close to me, right? So, from cousins, very, very close, loss of all kinds of, without being morbid, right? So it's just not getting any safer out there. It really isn't.
It's quite the opposite.
I take pride in myself feeling very aware and comfortable out there, and so if I can give anything to new riders up and coming, one, the real deal, the reality of what the road brings, and two, equip them with any type of skill to be able to save them out there. That's what I do this for. So I thought there was actually a story that happened. I was at a store. I had ridden my bike there, and I was checking out. And there was a girl who was taking my money and doing the transaction, and I set my helmet up on the table, and she goes, "Did you ride your motorcycle here?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "That is so cool." She's like, "I grew up around motorcycles my whole life." She's like, "My dad just never thought that women had a place in the sport and didn't teach me. I would love to learn." And that was before I had even thought about coaching at all. And that really kind of flipped the switch. I was like, wow, like I could be a vessel or a conduit to help to help people, not just women, but also be a female in the industry and really kind of take up space and let everybody else know that they can do that too. So that's really kind of what spurred getting into coaching. I'm like, I think I might have a knack for this, and being able to explain it to people in a way that they could take it and be a successful, safe, and have a really long riding career.
Yeah, safe is the key. Is there like courses you have to take in order, a skills competition? Not a competition per se, but is there criteria you have to meet in order to become?
Yeah, so it's not like you don't just walk in and get certified, right? And from what I understand, it's becoming a little more lax or easier to become certified now because there's not as many coaches. They're looking for more, so you have that kind of factors into it. But if we take that away, so you have to go and get certified by MSF first, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation.
Okay.
So that's a process that you have to go get signed up. I think it was probably a week. It was probably like a week of pretty in-depth instruction and how to run a range out there and keep everybody safe. And it's pretty nerve-wracking because you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like you don't know anything, so you're really learning back. So thinking back about it now, I was very overwhelmed. I'm like, this is a lot of stuff to learn. Like you don't really grasp all that until you get into the thick of the content. So once you do that and you graduate the MSF or you get certified MSF, you can teach state courses. And Harley though is another tranche. So then you got to go. It was like 3 or 4 days. I had to go to the riding academy.
Was that Wisconsin?
No, so they actually were doing. I was going to go. I think it was to Georgia. They were doing one. A dealership sponsors one every so often.
Okay.
Where they'll have people come in, and so I said, I don't really want to go that far, but I will. It'll be a good experience.
Sure.
Well, then, I don't know, a week or two later, they came out and said that there's a Michigan offering, and it was actually out in Perry dealership. They closed that dealership now.
Yeah, oldest one in Michigan.
Yeah, oldest one in Michigan. So that's where I took my course. So I went out to the west side of the state, got to know them out there. They were great. I really liked that dealership. Kind of similar to Arsenal, smaller, more family-owned dealership. So really kind of intimate. But took my riding academy course out there. It was super fun, very interactive. You learn a lot about the Harley brand, their pillars, and everything that they kind of stand by. So because the program for Harley really is a lot different than the state course. They have a lot of the same content, but the way in which you learn it and the pace at which you learn it and the way in which you learn it is a lot more in depth and thorough, especially for the road out there. I mean, it's.
So, and the riding academy should be noted that isn't just for greenhorns, for lack of a better term, for someone to come off the street. It's for both. Like if someone wants to come and brush up on their skills, there's something you can always learn, right? I mean, it's not like
100%. Great example. And we get everybody from, people who need their parents to sign off, young kids to into their older ages that said, hey, it's on my bucket list. I wanted to come and try it out. But then we get tenured riders with experience. Maybe their endorsement lapsed and their license or what have you. Or you just get people that are like, I just want to try and see what's up. So I love the mixed bag that you get from signing up. But no, so my dad growing up had a road bike at one point. It got a V-Star. He had a V-Star cruiser.
Nice.
And this was really before I was into motorcycles the way that I am now. But he was indoors, rode it for a little while, didn't have a ton of family or anybody to really ride with, so it kind of lost its luster. Sold the bike. Once I got into it and my dad saw me riding with all my friends, going here, going there, doing the trips, he had a little bit of FOMO, right? He's like, wow. And so next thing you know, he's buying a bike, I'm going with him to pick it up, and the rest is history. But before he did, I told him, I said, you need to take a class and get yourself brushed up on riding. And so he ended up taking the Harley Riding Academy class, came back and he's like, wow, he's like, I learned something. So, and my dad's grown up with bikes and everything, right? So wouldn't say he's a pro by any means, but that just goes to show you that there's something to learn for everybody, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Right?
And so that's the best part about the course. It's thorough. We'll build your foundation of skills and techniques if you don't have any, or we'll find your bad habits and we'll fix them.
Right.
And that is what we stand by really, is we graduate students are riders that are more confident and have the right technique and way to ride out there.
And the mindset.
And, mindset, everything. And we really go in detail to give people little tips and tricks and things to help them. So you're really getting kind of a full gamut of riding. It's not just come in, hey, see if you can do it. If you can't, get the heck out. Or
you're not out to just fail somebody at the first fuck up. So,
Yep.
How long? Like, is it 3 or 4 day course for Harley Harley Academy?
Some dealerships are able to change their program up a little bit. So I can speak a little bit about that, and I can speak about what we do here at Arsenal. So some of the courses around are gravitating more towards online for the classroom learning portion, right? So you sign up for your Harley Riding Academy, you get a link, and it says before you come to class to the range day, you need to complete this curriculum. And I think it's like 3 hours it takes you to get through, and you can just sit there and just click through. And in my opinion, I do not believe that you can learn how to ride a motorcycle online, because one, people aren't paying attention. So it'd be one thing if you're like sitting there adamantly paying attention to the bookwork, but
you're scrolling on your phone in one hand.
You're distracted. And then there's that lack of, you can't ask questions, right? We're not there to be able to say or to correct somebody. So the whole point of the way Arsenal does it is we do our classroom in the dealership,
which is where we are.
Yep. So right here in this classroom, Thursday night, we show up for class, we get into the thick of things, we get used to our group, we get comfortable. It's a little, we say it's cheesy at the beginning, but we get our group comfortable that by the time we get to the range, we're a core. We are a group, everybody's cheering themselves on. It's not nerve-wracking for those people who might have nerves. But we do it in the classroom, right? You can see a bike, you can feel it. We have you ride the Jump Start, which is on a contraption, a fixed bike. So you can feel the vibration of the bike, you can hear it, get any nerves of the sound out of it. So there's a lot of benefit to that.
Yeah, and that I know people that start out on that, and that gives you your timing down a little bit too, where you're clutching and.
Well, in that whole friction zone, right? Understanding, you get a lot of people who maybe have manual car experience of driving manual car, which is great, but that's not a wet clutch, right? So these motorcycles are a wet clutch. You need to be able to ride that clutch with your RPMs up, and getting them to understand that that's your stability when you're going slow is the first half of the class, like the first hurdle, right? So that Jump Start really allows us to say, nope, get yourself in this position, hear this, and this is where your friction zone is, and that just really clicks a lot of things on. So by the time we get to the range on Saturday, it's not showing up like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to operate this bike. No, we've done this already, we've heard it, and now we're back to do it, outside of the Jump Start.
Wheelies are on Sunday.
That's the advanced portion. We joke with the students. We say, come back for our advanced course. We teach you how to ride with one hand, shoot with the left. We use rubber bullets so no one gets hurt. And the students just kind of, I'm like, we're kidding.
Not sure if she's really for real or not.
Yeah, my poker face is really good at this point. They're like, we're not sure if she's kidding.
She's just kidding about the rubber bullets. I use real ones.
Real bullets, hollow points.
So is there an advanced course, or is that just?
So there are advanced courses that are offered
through Harley. I mean,
Harley does that. It's called the ARC, Advanced Rider Course, and we don't teach it here simply because our range isn't big enough. And you use your own bikes. So, for instance, like the emergency stop demo. They do at like 50 miles an hour, right? We don't have the time in the runway to do that and handle that out on our range, unfortunately. But there are advanced courses, both offered by the state and Harley around. It's just a matter of who offers it.
Sure, and where you are. And, the state course I've recently witnessed, and we talked a bit about that. And while less expensive, the value of what you're saving, it's an investment, I would guess would be the best way to. If you want to get it done dirt cheap. And bare bones, blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's your style. I mean, but I think to really invest in the knowledge that the Harley offers, the Harley course offers, is just invaluable. I mean, it is a little more pricey, but anything with Harley is.
HD is not $100 every time. It's hundreds of dollars every time, right? So Yeah, the spread in price, depending on your budget and what your experience level is, the state course might be a great option for you, right? They have their own experience, I will say, but the Harley course really it slows it down without being painstakingly slow, and you will learn something. But listen, the road out there, it's not getting any safer. You're fighting a lot of lug nuts, okay? And so, in my opinion, if you're a new rider and looking to get into the sport, I wouldn't be looking to cut corners in any capacity. With that comes a little more cost up front. But the benefit, I think, from the Riding Academy perspective, and I'll even talk to Arsenal's program in particular, is the coach-to-student ratio difference. Yeah, you go to a state course sometimes, and they just enroll you and shove you all in a classroom or split you up on a range, and so there could be 50 people, 50 or more.
Easily.
Yeah, where, the coach doesn't know your name, they'll never learn how you ride or anything, and be able to instruct you specifically. It's like, can you do this? Yes or no. If you can't, you're out of here. Yeah. You're out of here. Sign up for another class. Try again. With Harley, that's not necessarily the approach that we take. One, we have smaller classes. So here at Arsenal, with our small range, we can take 6 or 7 students to one coach. I team up with my counterpart, Johnny Love, and we teach together. So our coach ratio is 1 coach to 3 students, which is unmatched. I mean, we know your name, your social security number, your bank account. We know your name. We get to learn how you ride, and then we get to challenge that. So once we've mastered some things, for slow stuff, for instance, I love that. I love my students to be able to learn and get comfortable going slow and not be scared of it. So once I learn that you have that in your toolbox, then I challenge you. Then I try to get you to go slower. Then I try to get you to do this, right? So I'm not only just having you master the objective of the exercise so we can move on. I'm having you really get into it and say, wow, this is fun, and now I can really perform and take you from here to here.
Yeah, and it should be said that the Riding Academy, at the end, you do test for your endorsement.
Yep, everything's done here.
Yeah, so when you walk out, you'll be, in theory, I'm sure there's been exceptions, but it's probably overwhelming majority have passed.
So I would say I don't have a percentage to say we pass. Our pass rate is up there, but at the end of the day, you're the captain of your own ship for the riding portion, right?
Yeah.
So I can get you there for the written test, knowledge test. We really go over all the answers, so the test is not daunting to anybody. You understand it all by the time we get there. But the riding portion, we do everything we can to make it as comfortable, easy breezy, and comfortable with your people as well. So you're not trying to impress anybody. You're not trying to impress us.
Yeah.
Just show us one more time how to do it. And so we do. We have a lot of success with that. There are people that don't make it, but I will tell you that statistic of people who don't make it through the riding portion, they come back.
Yeah.
They come back and take the class again. And 99% of the time, it just takes that added instruction, and they're off to the road after that.
I mean, yeah, and ultimately it's time behind bars that's going to get you experience. You take what you've planned into them, and they need to go put it in practice to get confident. And for the basic course, Harley provides their own bikes, which we'll do a little walk around here in a bit. What are they? I know you told me, but.
Yep, so they're what we're riding on right now. It's unfortunately probably going to be one of our last seasons with these bikes, but they're called the Street 500. Started production in 2013, and liquid cooled V-twin. Harley's labeled them back in 2013 as their entry level cruiser, right? So they're sub 500 pounds. But set up like a cruiser bike. They're comfortable, and they really are a riot to ride. They're fun. They're fun to ride, but a great size for most all students. We have a couple different seat heights, so we can match them to our students the best we can. But they really provide a great center of gravity for new students to learn on. They're not skinny like a Sportster or tiny like a little Grom, where people are swallowing them, with their size. You ever seen a big guy in a Grom? That's a So these are more cruiser style bikes.
Yeah, and it's not a full dresser. You're thinking, some people are gonna come in and be like, oh, the bike's gonna be way too heavy. That's not the case.
No. nope, not the case. And like I said, the center of gravity is really, really nice that we have tiny little females that come in here that ride these bikes. We put them on a short seat, everything is great. And then we have guys that are 6'5" on here that it does look a little funny at the end of the day when you have a big tall guy on one of these bikes, but they're able to make it work. Yeah, able to make it work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we've discussed people that don't speak English come in.
Yeah,
they
you
pass.
do.
It's a little extra effort on your guys' part, so kudos to you guys.
Yep. We've taught a wide range of people, and that's one of the best parts too about just you never know who's going to sign up and who's going to come into your next class. It's a mixed bag always, but you get to learn where everybody comes from, what their shtick is, why they're here, and that helps you be able to coach them better. But yeah, we've had deaf individuals be able to come in and learn how to ride a bike. We've had individuals on the spectrum come in here, learn how to ride a bike. And then, we've had people that have come in that really don't speak much English at all. And, some of the bookwork instruction was tough. It was challenging. Yeah, it was challenging. But with Google Translate nowadays, we were able to really make it through that, which was beautiful. But the best part about that is once you get out onto the range and you're riding, you don't need to speak the same language, right? A lot of it is you're acting stuff out and you're showing people, and then you can nod and understand yes or no. And we had no issues once we got out on the range. I mean, so that was really, really cool to experience, to think that we were going to have a really hard time, and that was the easiest part, was the range, because you can show them, you can act it out, show them where their body should be, where their head should be looking, all of these things, right? And universal language.
Yeah. So I know a lot of friends, I always say so too fucking much, we'll edit this out, but I know a lot of girls, females that ride, and they're very skilled riders, but I feel like there's maybe more trepidation on a female, like they want to do it, they've been backpacking a while. What would you say to somebody that's maybe thinking about it, a little intimidated, and they're just, I don't know, what would you say to them as far as advice and getting involved?
So I would say if you have any inclination to learn how to ride on your own, right? There's no better place to do it than here, right? Not have your friend, your uncle, your significant other take you somewhere with their bike and try and teach you, because you have that relationship. The only person you can get the most mad at is your significant other. And usually constructive criticism doesn't happen the best way. You won't be successful. And I can't tell you how many people, women mostly, that have said, my husband tried to teach me and it did not go well. And I'm like, I can imagine that it did not.
Yes.
So here, you're on a closed, controlled course, right? We don't just throw you to the wolves and say, get on the bike and let me see what you can do, right? It's building blocks. We start very, very slow, just rocking the bike, understanding the friction zone, really kind of easing your way into it. So we kind of mitigate a lot of that fear right off the rip, right? And say we slow it down. You'll never be really putting yourself into a situation where you're not comfortable.
Sure.
And then you can really see if you like it or not, right? So there's this idea of like, I see everybody riding, they look happy and they're doing it. Well, the fact of the matter is some people are not made to ride to operate a motorcycle themselves.
Sure.
So I think that coming in and coming into a course will really decide that for you. Like, you'll find out really quick if you like it or not. And some people will say, you know what? I'm happy riding on the back.
Yeah.
Now I know more about what my husband should be doing.
Right, exactly.
Or I'll be able to tell him how to ride, but I'm happy being on the back. Which there's skill, and you need to be knowledgeable when you're a passenger. You do. There are wrong things you can do. So I don't, there's no bad blood on people who are just riders as well, or passengers. But if you are a rider, that's always my favorite to see, especially with a female that comes in and they get it, and you see them ride up to you and with this shit-eating grin on their face, and you're like, you've got the sickness now. You are in, you're off.
Kiss your money goodbye.
I've done my job. I've done it. So that's the coolest part to me, is like it's empowering.
Yes.
It's empowering for everybody, no matter male or female. But to see a female get it and say, wow, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then to play on that, really that makes me happy is graduating a female, weeks later, she comes up and she rides to the dealership. I got chills just thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
She rides up and she's like, look at my bike, I'm doing this, right? So like, I love that because you've unlocked a Pandora's box for them, right? You can tackle anything. You can do anything you want, and so it is. It's empowering, and I'm happy that I hope that I make women feel more comfortable and approachable in the sport, right? It's not a male-dominated sport anymore.
And it shouldn't be.
No, there's room for everybody.
Freedom in it's freedom in it I'm going to backtrack my comment when I said just females. It should be, because I'm sure there's guys with trepidation too, because they see the big burly biker. Maybe that's not their image. And I'm a big fan of, doesn't matter what you ride, as long as you ride.
As long as you're riding, yep.
So it's for anybody, not just the females that may be trepidatious about coming in. So let's walk around the bike. So before we get too far away from discussing what Harley bikes are, we'll do a quick walk around. I'll have you describe them. That way, someone that might be coming in can see what they're
going to be riding, right? Yeah. These aren't from the 80s. These aren't any 2U 250s or any little bikes that are falling apart. Yeah, they're in good shape. Our fleet here, these Street 500s, even though they're maybe on their last couple seasons that we're going to be using them, don't even have 1,000 miles on them.
Yeah, and they're maintained by Harley certified mechanics.
Yep,
right?
teched out all the time. Yep, and the best part about our range being next to our service department is if we do have any type of issue or modification, sometimes the handlebars might be a little too far down for our big guys, and we'll have them just adjust them really quick so they're more comfortable. So we really do try and tailor the bikes to the students to make it a better experience for them. So they weren't like, "Oh, it's the bike's fault." We fit the bike to you. Yeah.
I mean, it's always the bike's fault. Like if the hockey, it's always my stick's fault that I didn't score that goal.
It's the equipment. Yeah. All right, so this is the Street 500, okay, from front to back, equipped with some safety equipment to make sure the bike stays upright should it be dropped. So you see on the rear fenders, we got those guards, something down out by the drive shaft, and then you've got your engine guard as well. On the front. You've also got your bar guards on the end. Those don't exist on other bikes on the street. Damon. Yep. And these things are really great bikes, entry-level cruisers, okay, V-twin, and really stable center of gravity, and a great learning bike. And they're actually a riot to ride. You can put them anywhere that you want. And they're pretty indestructible as well. Not to say that we have many issues with our students, but they just pop back up, no issues. Belt-driven. Yep. Belt-driven 500. Very streamlined instrument cluster up top. Digital RPMs are shown. Obviously, we tell the students that we go 120 miles an hour because that's how fast it says the bike can go.
Paid for those 100.
Yep. That's right. Use it.
I want to say thank you to Arsenal Harley Davidson for having me in, taking care of me here. They come see them for all your bike needs.
For sure.
Don't be afraid to learn a new thing with motorcycles if you're thinking about it. Come see J Money, Jordan.
Yep.
Up at Arsenal, the riding
academy. Got a lot of good coaches here, and we have some classes open through the rest of this season. So if you're antsy to get your endorsement, get on in here and sign up.
Yep, you've seen a little bit of the bike, you've heard a little bit of the history. And if you have any questions, by all means, comment. I'll run them to her and answer the best I can.
Awesome.
So,
thanks
thank
everybody
you so much
for tuning in.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Love it.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Ride safe.